Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and dear guests. I'm starting very quick. An education system is only as good as its teachers. Can you please raise your hand if you agree with this statement? You liked it, didn't you? Yeah, just like you, I do agree with this statement because I believe it clearly highlights the importance of your role as teachers in an education system's effectiveness and consequently your success within that system. I believe that is why the quest for finding the sense of successful teaching and teacher is a top agenda for most governmental ministries, educational reforms, and academics, because they want to understand what contributes to the quality of education, and it seems teachers are the most important component. Obviously, with all the reforms, educational reforms which are with all educational reforms which are undergoing in our country, especially the ones which are with teachers and quality of teaching, Armenia is not an exception. I think everybody in this room acknowledges that if we want our learners to achieve their potential as future change makers, then we need to invest in environments and systems which allow the teachers to reach theirs as current change agents. British Council, as a leading organization which supports a lot of educational reforms, believes in this. And British Council Armenia, likewise, is very much committed to education and teacher development. And that is what, as Arvik mentioned, every year we try to realize several big and small English projects and programs to make sure that we support the of quality teaching, specifically English language teaching, all over Armenia. Now, to showcase this, I would like to draw your attention to a couple of specific examples and success stories to see how we do this. So, this photo with all happy faces on it belongs to 4 years ago when we started a teacher development and mentoring program for 12 English language teachers in 4 military institutions. Within the 12 months of this project, we helped these teachers to rethink and redefine their teaching methodology and approaches and to perform better in the classroom so that their cadets can learn English effectively. Now, this was a very small scale project in terms of the number of teachers involved, but it had a huge impact on more than 800 cadets who were able to learn English more effectively, which was critical for them to be able to participate in international maneuvers and programs. Next, meet teachers from 3 villages in Armavir region. This is another teacher development program which we delivered in partnership with Children of Armenia Fund charity. And within this project, these teachers not only were able to improve their language proficiency, but of course they improved their teaching skills, knowledge, and competencies. The outcome? More than 300 students in those villages, which were quite isolated kind of, were able to learn English with better methodology, and as a result, hopefully in the long term, they will be able to connect to the outside world beyond the confines of their villages. Of course, in the past 2 years, Arvik and Arvik mentioned, we've been working very closely with education, science, culture, and sport, and through our English learning hubs, we have worked with hundreds of teachers all over Armenia, on every single region. And some examples for you. So, for example, last year, for the very first time, we established our first teacher groups in 7 cities, and by doing so, we brought more than 200 teachers to share their learning ideas and experiences and take responsibility for their own learning. And this was the first time that we did such an activity. Or again, for the very first time, through our learning English learning hubs, we invested in a new online video observation technology to help the teachers who are working in these learning English clubs or learning hubs to be able to record their lessons. And by doing so, they were able to see themselves in action, to see their peers in action and reflect about their strengths and areas in need for development. But moreover, we were able to use mentors sitting in Yerevan, providing very concrete, personalized, and practice-based feedback to those teachers, for example, in Bert, in Vaig, in Jermuk, in different regions which are quite far away from us. And of course, needless to say, over the past 5 years, we have offered you teacher development with British Council seminars, during which we hosted the best ELT experts in Armenia, and we try to offer you the latest thinking in the field so that you will be updated and you can make use of the years of teaching, training, and experiences. Now, I know you're asking yourself, but why do I share these stories with you? How are they connected to this conference? Well, the answer is that everything we have done in the past couple of years, and basically everything we do on the teacher development and teacher education programs, is at the heart of them is the British Council's Teaching for Success approach and continuing professional development frameworks. Now, just to provide you with an overview of what this approach is, so the British Council's Teaching for Success basically represents the current insight, research, and evidence into effective continuing professional development. And it works at all levels of school and not only. The founding principles are the following. If we want to improve the outcomes of learners, then we need to improve the quality of teaching. And if we want to improve the quality of teaching, the best way is continuing professional development, which is defined as a planned, ongoing, and lifelong learning for teachers so that they can improve their personal and professional qualities. But we also understand that not every single CPD activity is an effective one. Several research studies indicate that if you want your CPD activity to be effective, then they need to be concrete and practice-based, basically, not focusing on so much abstract stuff and theoretical stuff, though they're good. Sustained over time, so they shouldn't be just one-off activities. You go to a workshop and participate in one conference, one workshop, and then you're fine for the next 10 years. Of course not. Tailored and context-specific, so it is not one-size-fits-all kind of approach. So it is very specific to the needs of teachers in Armenia, for example, based on the specific needs in your region, so everything is tailored. And it is supportive of collaboration, so it is not very much top-down, a trainer coming and just sharing the knowledge, but teachers also work with one another. And of course, it is fully supported by the educational leadership. Now, the next question would be, then how has the British Council's Teaching for Success put this understanding into practice? The answer, by creating 3 continuing professional development frameworks, one for teachers, one for educators, and one for school leaders. And these frameworks aim to enable education systems and individual teachers, educators, and principals to identify their strengths and the areas in need for development, and as a result put together CPD systems and activities which will meet their needs. Now, to put all I shared with you in a nutshell, actually I would like to play 2 short videos for you, which are focusing on our CPD framework for teachers and CPD framework for educators, because of the very fact that this conference's focus is actually these frameworks. So I'm going to play this and then I'll continue.
For teachers to engage in successful CPD, they need support to help identify their strengths and the areas they need to develop. The British Council CPD framework for teachers is based on our global knowledge of teaching and is designed to be flexible enough to work across subjects and contexts. It provides teachers, teacher educators, and school leaders with a common language so they can discuss development needs and set development pathways based on each individual. The framework is built around 12 professional practices. These represent key areas in which teachers apply professional knowledge and utilise specific skills. Each one is interlinked, representing a combination of practical and conceptual understanding, skills, and knowledge. Through our self-assessment and classroom observation tools, the framework helps teachers map their skills against the professional practices according to 4 stages. From simple awareness of a practice to an understanding of it, engagement with it, and integration of it into their classes. With this knowledge, teachers, schools, and ministries of education can identify the right resources. British Council development materials are mapped to the framework, and we're working with a growing number of education institutions to map their own materials too. All the parameters can be tailored to a specific country's standards. It's not an inspection device. It's a tool to support inclusive, teacher-led self-development, with peer support wherever it's needed.
And the framework for educators.
Teacher educators fulfill a wide range of crucial roles in supporting teacher learning and classroom application of learning. But across many education systems, their roles, responsibilities, and development pathways are unclear. The British Council's CPD framework for teacher educators is based on our global experience of working in teacher training and development. It's applicable across primary, secondary, and tertiary sectors, and is relevant in both pre-service and in-service teacher education. The framework has 10 comprehensive professional practices, which describe the types of knowledge and skills underpinning teacher educators' work. Uniquely, the framework also incorporates 7 enabling skills. These are general skills needed across professions, with a focus on communication and leadership, along with 5 self-awareness features designed to help teacher educators reflect on how their behaviour has an impact on learning, all mapped against 4 stages of development. We provide resources to support teacher educators in improving their skills and knowledge, including a reflection questionnaire to help them assess their competence and identify areas for development. This tool can also be used by education authorities to help plan pathways that improve quality and expertise. We also offer a range of resources on our Teaching English website, such as publications, articles, webinars, videos, research papers, and a range of courses. Ministries of Education and partners can use the framework to plan training and development activity, with guidance on how it can be adapted to local contexts. And we can support the training and development of teacher educators in different roles. It's not a checklist of standards. It's a flexible resource. The practices and stages of development it identifies can be adapted to suit all manner of roles and identities around the world for the greatest possible impact.
Good. And so, as I said, this conference has an overarching focus on these 2 frameworks. And as you already know, all the sessions that we have planned for you are mapped to these professional practices. So I just want to welcome every single one of you to this conference, thank our guest speakers for accepting our invitation and visiting us, and thank all 2 other speakers who submitted their proposals to share their learning and experiences with their colleagues. As I mentioned, today and tomorrow, we are going to have 3 plenary sessions. We are going to have 20 concurrent sessions, and all these sessions are mapped to professional practices so that they can help your thinking and participation. So I very much hope that you're going to enjoy this conference, and I really want you to get engaged in a process of learning, developing, motivating, getting motivated, and making sure when on Monday you go back to your classrooms, you have a lot of ideas and insight to put into practice. Thank you so much, and enjoy this conference.